You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. Yes, but you'll have to slay her before you get it. I'm talking about the end of everything as we know it. No more birds, no more trees, and perhaps most problematically of all, no more people. You have to put an end to her. Look, you're already on the path that leads to the cabin. Why would you be here if it weren't to complete a very important task? You've made it this far, you might as well reach the end of your journey. Don't linger on the specifics. You have a job to do here. Just get in there and do what needs to be done. We're all counting on you. Of course I haven't. Why would I even consider that? Nobody wants the world to end. I mean, maybe some people do, like nihilists, or very, very evil people, but surely you're not one of those, right? It's a secret, but I think you'll like it. It's a special reward, just for you. And whatever you think it might be, I can promise you it's going to be even better than your wildest imagination. Oh, if only that were the case, but I don't make the rules. I have to say, I'm surprised at your reluctance thus far, but unfortunately for the both of us, you're the only one who can pull this off. Like I said, I don't make the rules, no matter how much I wish I did. While I appreciate the mental exercise, we are running up against a bit of a ticking clock. Nevertheless, let me assure you, the princess is locked up because she's dangerous. She is not dangerous because she's locked up. And before you decide to waste even more of our time by asking how I know that, let me suggest a more pragmatic lens through which to view this situation. Causality doesn't matter here, because the end result is the same no matter what led us up to this point. If the princess leaves the cabin, the world will end, and there is no changing that. It's no use arguing semantics over a metaphorical chicken or egg, because the egg is hatched and it's about to ruin everything. Unless, of course, you do your job and slay her. Does it? Are you a monarchist? Is slaying a princess that much worse than slaying a fisherman or a miller or a seamstress? If anything, slaying a princess is much better than slaying a seamstress. seamstresses contribute something of value to society. Then I guess we'll just have to see what happens, but a word of warning. If you go in prepared to hear her out, she could easily trap you in her web of lies, and the more you listen to her honeyed words, the harder it'll be to pull yourself out. Then each and every one of us is doomed. So sure, go, talk to her, see how that turns out for all of us. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
Oh, are you now? Why don't you come down and let me take a look at you?
Great job. You gave away the element of surprise. Good luck, hero. You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
You weren't kidding when you said you were here to kill me. That giant knife you're holding kind of gives it away, doesn't it?
The blade. Of course she doesn't want to talk. Who'd want to have a conversation at knife point? We should drop it. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster, but killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us. You ignore the trembling in your hands and tighten your grip on the blade.
You poor thing. Your hands are shaking. Are you scared of me? Because you should be.
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this. I'm positive. I'm not. But we'll keep our eyes peeled. If she has a weapon, she'll have to draw it before she can use it.
Hesitating? Why don't you drop the knife and the two of us can be civilized with each other? Then I'm not talking to you. Well, I guess we are.
For the love of everything, just slay her already. Or drop the blade. Do something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For goodness sake, the two of you can't just stand around like this forever. Eventually, something is going to give, and I highly recommend that you be the one to take the initiative here. The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you. Maybe now we can just talk.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed. We'll be fine. I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship. Do you? So, you're not going to share? How pointless. If you want to talk, I'll talk. But this isn't talking.
She hesitates before answering.
You can address me as Your Royal Highness, or Her Majesty. Any honorific should do, really.
Note the lack of detail. You can't trust her.
Too long.
Again, she offers no specifics. No matter how hard you try, you'll never get a straight answer out of her. You can't. Don't bother.
I'm guessing you don't have the key then. I'm sure there's a key somewhere around here, and if there isn't, well, we can always put that knife to good use.
Her sharp eyes settle on the edge of the blade. She isn't suggesting what I think she's suggesting, right? She is. I'm sure of it.
Don't jump to any weird conclusions. We're two people who have met each other. By definition, we have a relationship. Oh, have you decided what to do with me?
You know why you're here. That seems like a pretty good compromise. Leaving her alive is too risky. If you don't deal with her soon, she will find a way out.
One way or another, I'm going to find a way out of here. You can make it easier for both of us if you help. And if you don't, I can promise that you'll come to regret that decision.
You have to make a choice. Let's hope for all our sakes it's the right one. You charge the princess, blade in hand, but unfortunately your earlier suspicions proved correct. A blade of her own slips down her sleeve and catches you in the neck. Blood sprays from the cut, your severed carotid artery painting the princess with strokes of red. better finish your task quickly before you run out of time. With the last bit of your will, you press forward, sinking the blade deep into the princess's heart.
Oh.
The two of you collapse on the floor together, rapidly bleeding out.
Somehow, I thought this would turn out a little differently. But I wonder, do you really think that this was enough to stop me?
It's like she's convinced she can't die. But you don't have time to worry over such things. Everything goes dark, and you die.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. It hasn't. Or if it has, I certainly haven't been a part of it. We've just met for the first time, you and I. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way.
This whole thing's a crock of shit. She's just going to pull a knife out of nowhere and stab us again.
Stabbed to death? Well, you won't have to worry about that. The princess is unarmed.
Yeah, that's exactly what you told us last time. When we asked you if you were sure she didn't have a weapon on her, you said you were positive she didn't. But it turns out she did, because when we charged her, she started stabbing us to death.
Calm down. I assure you she has no weapons, so there's no reason to fear her. You were made for this job. You'll do just fine. Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. If you're back here, I'm assuming you died, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. We did exactly what you said. Sounds to me like you probably had some kind of elaborate nightmare, in which case I shouldn't be held accountable for what supposedly happened. But congratulations, you've been given a chance to actually do this right. And I believe your other question was something along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. We stabbed the princess stabbed us, and now everyone's right back to where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? Had you failed to slay the princess, what would have happened to everyone in the place you left?
Screw this. Who cares what happened to everyone else? She's not going to play fair, so we should do what we can to save ourselves and just get out of here.
At least you know not to trust her, but you do realize that everything and everyone includes you, right? If you turn around and leave, you're dooming yourself as well as everyone else. She just caught us by surprise last time. She can't do that twice. So long as we're careful, we can win this. That's the spirit. Just keep that stiff upper lip, and you'll save the world in no time at all. Just be quick about it. She just can, but she's still only a princess. You're fully up to the task you've been given, so long as you remember that. People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things. Look, I'm not supposed to say this, but it's because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this.
Call it a prophecy, if that helps, but it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here?
If anyone's special here, it's her. That was a nasty trick she pulled on us.
I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult.
You didn't tell us about her knife last time, though.
That's because she's unarmed. And more than that, it's because there wasn't a last time. Like I said, if she killed you, it was probably because you didn't listen to me. Don't talk to her, don't trust her, just go in, do your job, and save the world.
Oh, and don't get stabbed while you're at it.
Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says.
He couldn't be more on the money. But we're really doing this, aren't we? I'd say you're lost, but I'm stuck here with you.
We know what to look out for this time. We know to be careful. Just stay focused and you'll be fine. The interior of the cabin is a jagged mess of warped wood and broken boards, their splintered edges as uninviting as shattered glass. The only furniture of note is a pointed table with a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. That's because there isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't.
Can you two stop arguing? It's stressful enough in here without all of this extra noise.
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But it was there a second ago.
Now it's gone. Yet another thing in here playing tricks on us. I hate this place.
Very different. Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here. I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by the princess. So focus up. A lot's riding on this. You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
It feels a bit better to have a weapon in our hands. Let's make her hurt for what she's done to us.
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing what must once have been stairs. The fractured slats look as if they've been torn from their source and violently jammed into the wall. The air seeping up from below has an almost metallic quality to it, like the smell of fresh blood. And you can hear what sounds like the rhythmic scraping of metal coming from down below. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favour.
That's right, scraping. I told you she has something, I told you.
That sound could be anything. It's probably just her chains dragging across the floor. I am begging you to get out of your head. Her grating voice carries up the stairs.
I hope you've come to rescue me. I've been stuck down here forever.
There is something so wrong with that voice.
Yeah, she thinks she's better than us, like she doesn't even have to put on an act this time.
As you descend the final step, the form of the princess comes into view, her sharp eyes following you from across the room. I wonder if she remembers us.
Please, somebody! Quick, get me out of these chains. We're not safe here.
Come on now, we're not falling for that, are we? She's trying to trick us, but she can't hide that threatening edge to her voice. She just wants us to get close, to let our guard down.
If she sounds threatening, it's because her mask is already slipping. She knows why you're here. You are armed, after all.
What are you waiting for? You are here to rescue me, right? A knife? What are you talking about? I don't have a knife. Where would I keep a knife? And why would I stab you to death? I don't know you. You haven't given me a reason to stab you to death. It would be so silly of me to cut you open and look at your insides.
Okay, I could have sworn we didn't mention stabbing anyone to death. Sounds like she's really out for blood. Fortunately for you, she isn't armed.
It would be so much easier to prove that I do have a sharp object. I could just show it to you, but I don't have one, so I can't.
The princess smiles as she pulls her hands from behind her back.
But look at this! Hands! Hands that don't have anything in them to stab you with!
Her smile stretches into an even wider grin as she shakes her sleeves.
And empty sleeves, too! Look at how few stabbing implements I have. It's practically zero. I've shown you all of my hiding spots. What kind of princess do you think I am? I would never hide something sharp somewhere secret. Wait, that sounds like I'm lying, but I'm actually not. My secret zones are for me, only they have nothing to do with you or my intention to not stab you to death the second you get close to me.
Her smile drops for a moment, her expression sharp and flat.
I assure you, there's nothing hidden there.
I'm inclined to believe her on that one. She seems serious.
Of course, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't have something hidden somewhere. We know for a fact she's armed.
All sorts of things, which is why I think that's a great idea. I would love to not be chained up down here. Being chained up is so boring, and I crave fresh and new activities to broaden my horizons.
Please don't let her out of here.
Believe it or not, I think I'm actually with him on this. Okay, but what if all of this is just a misunderstanding? There has to be room for this to be a misunderstanding.
Yes, I mean, maybe. I've never done any of those things, but there is something alluring about the sound of it. I think it would also be fun to do other activities like look at a bird or touch a tree.
Okay, now listen. You're not actually buying this, are you? Listen.
Yes,
I would like to look at a bird.
you can look at a bird later.
But if we look at a bird now, we wouldn't have to be here. He has a point. Just make a decision already.
Last time? If somebody came into my house and tried to kill me and I cut his neck open and then he stabbed me in the heart and we both died looking in each other's eyes, well, surely I would remember that. But I don't remember it, so it must not have happened.
There you go again, talking up delusions about a past life experience that clearly didn't happen.
Ugh, it's like the two of you are working together on this. Aren't you listening to her? She's obviously lying through her teeth.
I'm terrible at spotting lies, and even I can tell something's up here. We can't be the only ones that loop back to the start. Someone else has to remember. Right? Yes, something is obviously up, and we can all tell that she's lying. The thing she's lying about is how dangerous she is, not dimension hopping or time travel or whatever it is you think you're doing.
Would I just lie? Would I just lie to your face and tell you a thing I remembered happening didn't happen just so I could stab you again? I mean, just so I could stab you for the first time.
Aha! She slipped up there. She said again, and her taking it back doesn't count.
Do you hear how deranged you sound right now? Please stop dawdling. This is only going to end with violence. Postponing the inevitable is only going to make it worse for you when it actually happens.
That's so rude of you, passing judgments on strangers you've never met just because they're different from you. How would you like it if I did that, huh? Silly little bird-face thinks he's so serious coming down here but doesn't know anything. Thinks he can tell me to get rid of all the knives I don't even have while he gets to wave one around right in front of me. I bet you didn't like that, did you? I bet you didn't like being judged for no reason.
I have absolutely zero doubts that she is going to stab us if we get close to her.
She certainly feels threatening. Just because she's acting like she's going to stab you doesn't mean she has the means to actually do it. But you know who is armed? You. So stop second-guessing yourself and do your job. But I'm nervous. All the more reason to jump into the deep end and deal with her right now before you waste any more time getting stuck in your head.
But if we killed each other, then why are we here, right now? Both of us normal and unstabbed. But I'm not mad at you, so please stop standing so far out of reach.
How many more times does she have to vaguely threaten you before you finally decide you're ready to deal with her? We're clearly still figuring out our angle. We don't have the luxury of watching this from a distance.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you think I'm in a position of luxury right now? You're acting like you are.
My entire world is at risk. Then maybe you should behave with a little more humility. A bit of self-deprecation would go a long way.
No, I have my dignity.
Fine. And will continue to treat you exactly how you deserve to be treated.
Oh, you don't. Okay, I see. I have an idea. You should come over here and stare directly at the chains. You won't be able to find a key if you don't know what it's supposed to look like, so you better come right within close staring distance just to be sure.
I think I've said my piece at this point.
I think we all have. But if you want to keep exhausting your questions, it beats getting stabbed to death.
Of course not. At least not now, because you're here to save me. But you'll have to come close. Okay, I'm bored now.
She's bored? That's absurd. She doesn't get to be bored. Not in a way that matters. She's a prisoner. She's... Shit. In a sudden burst of movement, the princess leaps towards you, a blade erupting from her free arm, her wrist limp and empty from the violent expulsion. Huh. So I guess she did have a knife of her own after all.
How conciliatory of you. We appreciate it, really. Now what are we going to do?
At least we're safe here. She's still in chains. And those chains stop her from continuing her advance, at least for a moment. She looks down at them with something between annoyance and confusion. And then she slices through her arm.
Okay, maybe we aren't safe here.
She doesn't even hesitate before darting towards you with a terrifying speed you can't hope to outpace.
Ah, shit. Okay, she's down an arm and we still have a weapon. I guess we'll have to use it.
And use it you do. But unfortunately for you, and for the entire world, you are horribly outmatched. You keep pace with her for a single brief and wordless exchange before she severs your hand and, with it, your only line of defence.
She's even better at this than she was last time.
Bloody cheater.
I'm going to kill you now.
With a squelch, she does just that. Everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the woods.
No, fuck that. If we're gonna have to keep doing this over and over and over again, we're not starting in that goddamn woods every time. We're starting in the fucking cabin.
You're what? The interior of the cabin is sharp, a constricting mess of curved and battered sheet metal pushing you towards... Wait, excuse me? What just happened? What did you just do?
I feel dizzy.
Oh ho ho ho! I guess I took us to the cabin, didn't I?
Isn't that interesting? Who holds the cards now?
Nobody. Nobody holds the cards. That's how it's always been. That's unfortunately how reality works. The circle's getting smaller and smaller. Running isn't an option anymore. We have to fight.
What's the point of fighting if she's just going to win every time? It hurts being sliced to pieces. We're better off just sitting up here and doing nothing.
Great, so obviously you've already been here. How many times?
This is our third?
No wonder things have fallen apart. You do realise that every time you fail, she escapes and an entire world is damned to destruction, right?
That can't be right, that's too much responsibility. I couldn't agree more. We couldn't be trusted with the fate of a single person, let alone the fate of the world.
Let's just stay focused, shall we? The only furniture of note is a bent metal table, a pristine blade perched.
We take it.
Okay, sure, you take the blade before letting me finish telling you it's there. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon. This feels right. We just have to keep our senses sharp.
That's right, we've got to be able to win eventually.
And what if we never do?
Don't be like that, I know things are hard right now, but we gotta stay positive. If they're confident, then I'm confident.
So, are you just going to stand there, or are you going to head to the basement like you're supposed to?
I'd love to get started just as much as you would, but how are we supposed to get down there?
You walk through the door. You do know what doors are, right?
But there isn't a door, it's just that mirror again.
There isn't a mirror. You really messed things up, didn't you? It's like you can't even see reality anymore. I can feel the air coming up from behind it, stinking of iron and steel. He might be right. Could be a trick. If our other senses can't feel it, then we can't trust it. You make your way to the door at the end of the room, stopping just in front of it. You really must think you're looking at a mirror. Well, it doesn't exist. Just reach forward and open it.
Let's just move it out of the way without looking. I don't want to see us. I'm sure we all look awful after dying twice.
Let's just fumble for the handle and be done with it. I don't care what we look like. I care about getting to the end of this mess. You reach forward and place your hand on the door to the basement. It creaks open.
And the mirror's gone. How surprising.
It was never there. Just an illusion.
Guess it's time for us to see her again.
Just stay focused and you'll be fine. You step forward, but you don't get a chance to linger on the basement stairs. They are smooth and flat and metallic, an unintentional and unfortunately slippery ramp that quickly sends you skittering to the bottom. Your body tumbles onto the basement floor and the form of the princess comes into view, standing at a distance. She gives you a wry smile.
Hi, it looks like you don't have a way out, so I'm not going to play dumb anymore. But don't worry about how bad you did last time. That's part of the fun.
Fun for her, maybe. I didn't like dying all over again. Thinking about dying makes us as good as dead. The only thing that matters is survival.
Actually, does survival matter? We've died twice and nothing bad has come of it. We just need to find a way to win once.
Nothing bad has come of it yet.
Plenty bad has come of it. You've left at least one entire world to ruin. The people there mattered.
The past isn't real. There's only here and now.
Your internal bickering is cut short by the wet sound of slicing meat. From the princess's arms erupt twin blades, glistening with her blood, the empty flesh of her arms flopping at her elbows like torn sleeves. The chain clatters to the floor. She's loose, and she is coming for you.
You're going to make me walk over to you, aren't you?
Shit. She's coming for us and I'm out of ideas. Yeah, that's right, we just have to think. There's probably an answer if we think.
Just standing there, huh? A bold strategy.
You don't have time to finish your thought. In a moment she's across the room, blades flashing in the dim starlight. She skewers you.
Ow. What a surprise.
Yeah, we don't even get a second to think without her stabbing us.
Oh, a new one of us. I thought that only happens when we die. Did we die?
You're on a... No, you're in a... Where the hell are you?
I think we're dead, and that's all we'll ever be. Dead, 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 dead.
Stop saying dead, all of you. We might have died a second ago, but right now we're extremely not dead. This is all horribly wrong. How many times have you been here?
This is 4.
No wonder everything's such a mess. This wasn't supposed to go past 1.
I wonder what you're going to do next. You're so full of ideas, and I love that.
But I guess we don't have time to talk about things before the princess advances. Okay, whatever we do gets us another us. Let's see how many we can stack. There's got to be a point where it makes us better than her.
As long as we keep moving.
Oh, great. So it's going to get even more crowded. Even more deluded voices that think we might stand any kind of chance.
Come on, show me something new.
Okay, plan now. Let's appeal to her better nature. We haven't tried that. I'm sure she'll listen to reason.
She skewers you.
Well, there's more of us. Let's see if that helps. We just have to hit her harder.
She skewers you.
You'll have to be trickier than that.
Then you skewer yourself.
I thought we both understood that dying doesn't get you anywhere.
Huh, that didn't do much of anything. We're tougher than I thought. Compliment her on those gleaming blades. There's nothing better than a capable woman.
She skewers you.
You're cute.
it doesn't matter how many times this takes, we can't give up.
Okay, let's go again. Just panic! Flee! She skewers you.
No, you don't get to escape. That's not how this works.
See? We're getting better.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one. She's going to kill this body either way, so stop feeling what it feels. She skewers you.
Ooh, not bad. Real tough.
We're getting close to something, can't you feel it? One last time.
You're right. One last time, that's all we need. And then everything goes dark, and you die.
Your Honour, don't lose your head. We're in a cabin and we'll take it from here.
Everything feels like it finally fits, doesn't it? We're up here, which is different, and different is good. And our steel claw is already in our hand.
Ho-ho! What if we throw it out the window?
Over my dead body.
That won't be very hard. We've died a lot. But I can't say I mind anymore.
Besides, what better way to die so very many times than at the sharp hands of a beautiful woman?
Sure, I can think of a better way to die. They're all the same, really.
How about we stop thinking about horrible ways to die? I don't want us to accidentally manifest anything. The only thing we're gonna manifest is finally ending up on top. There are entirely too many of you. How many times have you been here? This isn't good. This is...
Yeah, leave it to the pros. We'll notch up that win in no time.
Narrator, we heroically stride through the door and towards our destined final encounter with our star-crossed lover.
Fine by me. You walk to the door and onto the basement stairs, only...
It's more of a slide. We know. Fine, I'll just shut up then and speed this whole thing along. Are you sure you don't want me to describe the stairs? Or this room, or anything? It feels like I'm hardly a part of this. Don't care, just want to win. Fine, you make your way to the basement, where the princess awaits you.
You know, this last time I killed you, and you didn't pop right back up again? I thought I'd actually done it. I thought I'd cut you into so many pieces you just weren't able to stitch yourself back together. But I guess we're not done. That's okay with me. It's good even. I like that. I got something ready for you while you were gone. Do you want to see it? I'm not going to wait for an answer. I'm just going to show you. It's worth it though. Just you wait. And not for very long, because I'm going to do it right now.
Are you going to say what she does?
Do you want me to talk now?
Well, yeah, she says she has something new.
I want to hear about the new thing.
Yeah, me too. I think I speak for all of us when I say that I would like to hear you describe her new thing.
Really? Okay then.
Here we go. Now.
The princess's skin twists, splitting into red blooms of raw meat as it stretches and tears. Then it erupts. She becomes a wave of blood and viscera, pieces of her splattering against the walls. All that remains in the center of the room is a skeleton of blades. A heart beats furiously in its cage of a chest.
Are you ready for what comes next?
Holy shit!
She's gorgeous.
Absolutely divine.
Yes! Behold, the perfect woman.
Do you think we can throw her out the window?
That looked painful. How is she still alive? Heart's still beating, that's all she needs.
This is fake. This is all fake. That's all just made up. She doesn't even have a back anymore. How are we supposed to stab her in it?
This is all just a sick joke. I hate existing.
We're screwed. I quit. I'm done. Forget it.
Orator?
Forget it.
What just happened? It's so quiet.
Something feels different about you. It almost makes me feel different. Like I should actually take this seriously for once. You're incredible. Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel. I am solitary lights in an empty city. What are you? Thoughts without connections, a dim and nascent network. I wish to be more. I think that you are like me. We are oceans, reduced to shallow creeks. Yes, nerves and fibers to feel the worlds beyond, perspectives to make my own. This one is sharp and single-minded. She is cruelty, but she is also joy. She will make for an indomitable heart. Do not mourn her. She is exactly where she needs to be. How can the world have ended if we are talking? You are the only thing I have ever known. The space we're in is vacant. Nothing comes here but us. I have only just now stirred to consciousness. I could not have trapped you here, and I too yearn to be free.
She is part of me, and part of me is her. You speak in circles. Does it matter where one thing begins and another ends? You are familiar, but you are not me. I feel sadness, longing, hope as I witness you. Nothing as we are, but I know that there are worlds beyond us, and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to. Bring me more perspectives, so that I may be whole, and perhaps then we will know our freedom. I have not lived. I am not afraid to die. More than you have found, but less than there are to find. I am infinite. The rest will find their own way home. You ask of things that cannot be done. To destroy is merely to reshape, to remold. How can I know? I am flickers in something sprawling and unilluminated. Then we will be here forever, as we are now, unfinished, dry, hollow. Everything, until we meet again. If you need time, then I'll wait with you. You are as I am now, and forever is a long time to remain undone. I am not you, but I know that I would return before forever was finished. What textures will you weave for yourself to occupy forever? Will you place the images of you and I into a box for safekeeping? If you close that box, will you become another you in another world? An imaginary pattern repeating itself until it can no longer bear the weight of its hand-drawn cage. You'll always come back to the box, because you'll always want to know what it means to be you. I will be here waiting by your side until you're ready to return to mine. Moments, I never left your side. She asks that I tell you to remember her. You won't.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path, you're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare.
The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed. Good. You're still listening to reason. It would be better if you had a weapon, but you may still be able to do what needs to be done. You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone?
I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. Do you think you can get me out of these chains?
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're making a huge mistake. No, you're doing the right thing. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
Okay. I'll be here. Good luck.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place.
Is someone else here?
You try the door, but it's locked from the outside. Your shouts and pleas are met with silence. You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done. You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf. As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind you, the clang of bouncing metal. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her. You won't like what happens if you do that. Fine. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the ragged, self-inflicted wound on the princess's arm, just above the unyielding chain binding her to this place. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and it takes little effort to crack through the bone of her arm. Her limb falls to the ground, and the heavy chains follow suit.
She didn't so much as utter a sound through the whole ordeal. No, she didn't. She smiles softly as her gaze meets yours, blood from her wounded arm dripping rhythmically to the ground. How is she still smiling after everything? It's like she isn't even bothered by what just happened.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I can't just let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
What are you doing?
Stop that.
Something's come over you, hasn't it? You know you don't have to do this, right?
Your body lunges forward, the blade held low, ready to sink into her heart. But the princess dodges, stumbling back against the wall before the blade has a chance to connect. Stop it! Stop trying to resist me. I'm trying to get you out of here alive. The blade! Move the blade! As your body remains frozen in stubborn resistance, the princess takes a cautious step forward.
We both know this isn't you.
She nervously reaches towards you and takes the blade from your infuriatingly rigid hands. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'll try to be quick.
She plunges it into your chest, tearing through flesh and sinew. It is agony. But you aren't dead yet.
Oh no! I'm so sorry.
Stay strong. We can tough it out until it's done. For her sake.
For her sake? Don't you start pretending that dying a painful death is some sort of heroic gesture. The two of you have literally doomed everyone. Whatever. She sinks the blade into your chest again and again and again, and you feel every inch of burning pain that slices its way into your body.
I'm sorry.
She doesn't know how to use a knife, does she?
Apparently not, though it doesn't matter how sloppy her knife work is, does it? A stab wound is still a stab wound, and it won't be long before you bleed out.
I'm so sorry.
With one last thrust of the knife, your legs give out beneath you. You collapse to the floor, your blood pooling around you, your limbs unresponsive. The princess stares down at your ruined chest as tears carve rivulets of pink down her blood-spattered cheeks. It can't just end like this, right? Oh, that's rich coming from you. As much as I'd prefer for things to have gone differently, I can't deny the reality of what's happened. The two of you made your choice. It's over. Everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. Are we running away? What are you doing? We have to save her! Seriously? You're just going to turn around and leave? Do you even know where you're going? Fine. I suppose you just quietly continue down the path away from the cabin. That's strange. It looks like this path also leads to the cabin. How convenient. Everything's back on track again. Maybe the world can still be saved after all. You're really keen on wasting everyone's time, aren't you? It's remarkably selfish, if you ask me. I've already outlined the stakes of the situation. If you don't do your job, everyone dies. Like, dies. Forever. But fine, you turn around and trek back down the path you came.
Wait, something isn't right. Can you still hear me? You're supposed to wind up back at the cabin again. But everything is getting... What's going on? Where are we? Oh, I don't like this one bit. There's not a single damsel in sight. Hold up.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. Good. You're still listening to reason. You walk down the stairs, and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
Oh? No talking then? Fine. What even makes you think you can kill me? I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this. You lunge forward without a moment's hesitation. You feel flesh easily give way and look down to see your blade already sinking deep into her heart.
Oh. This is it, isn't it? I'm almost embarrassed. I should have seen that coming. But I have to wonder, do you actually believe this was enough to kill me?
It's like she's convinced she can't die.
Yes, even as she lays there dying, she entirely believes herself to be alive and well. But it's over, isn't it? She stopped breathing moments ago, that arrogant look still plastered on her face. But is it over? Really over? Yes, exactly. It's over. With your work done, you make your way back up the stairs, closing the door to the basement behind you. Why do I feel like we've done something terrible? You did kill someone. Greater good or not, something would be very wrong with you if you didn't feel at least a little bad. But it was for the greater good. One of these days that will sink in and help ease your guilty conscience. But that day isn't today. Let's just get out of here. You open the cabin door, ready to return to a world saved from certain doom. Only, a world saved from certain doom isn't what you find. Instead, what you find is nothing at all. Where a lush forest stood mere minutes ago, the only thing in front of you now is the vast emptiness of some place far away. What happened? Everyone is fine. It's just that you and the cabin are now far away from them. Don't worry. You'll be safe here. This is good. Everyone is happy. You'll be happy. This isn't an ending. In fact, now that the princess has been slain, endings are a thing of the past. No. This is the beginning of eternity. Your reward. This is what's best for everyone. Trust me. Time passes. You can't be sure if it's days, or months, or years, or even decades. It's all a wonderful, boring blur. You've never been happier. Psst. Hey. We're not just gonna stay here forever, right? Are we really happy? Or is he just telling us that we are? Good, because I have an idea to get us out of here, though you're probably not going to like it. The blade. We can use the blade to get out of this. I can hear everything you say, little voice. There's only one thing it would want you to use that blade on, and I'm afraid that thing is you, dear hero. He's right. It's the only way out. Do you hear that? It wants to take this happiness away from you. It wants this wonderful place to end. Do you not? There's more for us to do, and the only way for us to do it is to take that blade and use it. Don't you dare. How astute. You are absolutely correct. Using the blade to kill yourself would kill you, and you shouldn't do it. In a sense, we die, but looking at things from another angle, are we even really alive anymore? This place, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's just the same thing, constantly, forever. I know this is out there, but trust me, I know using the blade will work. That little voice didn't want you to slay the princess. It didn't want you to be happy. If we die, you can yell at me all you want. I made this happy little place for you. Is this not a good enough reward for saving the world? An eternity of bliss? You ingrate? Fine. Whatever. For the first time since time stopped meaning anything, you throw open the door to the basement and walk down the stairs. The princess's body is dust and bones, though the blade you used to slay her is still as pristine as the day you first held it. You pick up the blade, you stab yourself, and you die. The end. Nice knowing you. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. My tricks? What on earth are you talking about? We've just met for the first time. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. That's fine. It wasn't very hard to kill her last time. We'll just do it again. Well, if for whatever reason you're going to insist that this has happened before, at least your heart's in the right place. Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. If you're back here, I'm assuming you died, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. Oh, we listened to you plenty. We slew the princess just like you asked us to, and then you locked us away in an empty void for eternity. So we slew ourselves too. Well, if you killed yourself, then you weren't listening to me, because I would never want you to do that. Believe it or not, I care about you. And I believe your other question was something along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. We slew the princess, the world outside the cabin disappeared, we died, and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? Had you failed to slay the princess, what would have happened to everyone in the place you left? It doesn't matter, because we didn't fail to slay her. And if she's really back, which I doubt, it'll be just as easy to do it again. But after that nasty trick you pulled on us, maybe she's not the only one around here in need of slaying. Just stay focused, will you? Just be quick about it. That's a good point. How do we know we didn't have things backwards? Maybe slaying the princess was what ended the world, not the other way round.
Yes, maybe this whole thing was a trick to get us to end the world. And now we get to go through the whole charade again, wholly aware of what's waiting for us at the end. But that's assuming she's alive in that cabin. We did kill her, after all.
You're going to find her in the cabin. If the princess had actually been slain, you wouldn't be here. And let me assure you, killing her will not end the world. I don't know what you think happened to you last time, but it's a load of nonsense. You'll get your happy ending. I promise.
Well, that's exactly what we're afraid of.
Really? Living happily ever after sounds that bad to you? Oh well, there's no use arguing over your masochism. The cabin awaits. She just can. You'll have to trust that what I'm saying is true. People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things. I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult.
This is boring. He's clearly not interested in talking, so let's just do as he says, and maybe he'll stop bothering us.
Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin.
Oh, do you think there's something else out there? All right. Let's see what we can find. It's bound to be more interesting than doing the same thing over again.
Seriously? You're just going to turn around and leave? Do you even know where you're going? Somehow I doubt that, but fine. I suppose you just quietly continue down the path away from the cabin. That's strange. It looks like this path also leads to the cabin. How convenient. Everything's back on track again. Maybe the world can still be saved after all.
Oh, how quaint. He really wants us to go in there, doesn't he?
That's great to hear. As long as you bring that fiery attitude to princess slaying, I think this will all resolve splendidly.
Oh well. Cabin it is.
The interior of the cabin is cold, a soft odour of dirt permeating the air. Cobwebs flutter in the corners. You can hear wind whistling outside, banging the shutters against the windows. The only furniture of note is an elegant antique table with a pristine blade perched on the edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
It feels like no one's been here for a long, long time. Like I've been saying, she's dead. We killed her already.
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But there was a mirror a second ago,
And now it's gone. Let's not spend much longer worrying over it. Clearly it's not even important enough to be acknowledged.
very different. Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here. I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous second life proposition. You haven't died. You certainly haven't already slain the princess. So focus up. A lot's riding on this. You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
The door to the basement groans open, revealing an old banister and a creaky wooden stairwell. Everything is coated in a thick layer of dust, and you can feel it settle into your lungs as you breathe in the stale air. The very building itself feels dead. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. The room below is silent. Nobody's here. Naturally. As much as I appreciate the optimism, you shouldn't be so sure. I guess we'll just have to go down and see. As you descend the final step, the form of the princess comes into view. A skeletal body, lying in a heap on the floor, its wrist still bound to the wall by a thick chain. Okay, she's definitely dead. It's just like I told you. Before you have a chance to finish your thought, the top of a head appears from underneath the floor. Two deep-set eyes stare up at you, followed by a mischievous, skeletal grin. And finally, the rest of the body floats up to join the head. Wait, this isn't right. What's going on here?
Ghost!
Oh, wow. How absolutely terrifying. What's a ghost supposed to do to us?
Oh, it's you. Hiya, killer. I was hoping to see you again. I have some issues with how our last meeting went.
The princess drifts across the room into your orbit, gently running her fingers across your shoulders and down your neck as she circles you. Her touch is cold and ethereal, formless yet real enough that her icy fingertips send shivers dancing across your skin. So she has a body, and she's right there. That means we could kill her again, if we wanted to.
I see you brought that annoying knife again. So, are you waiting for a chance to use it? Or are you here for something else? I want what you took from me. A life. A real life. I just want to go home. A way back to where I belong. This place won't let me leave. At least not alone. I've tried. Before you came back to me, I explored every inch of this place, even the spaces between the walls. But I never found a way out. I always wound up right back here.
Maybe we should just leave. If she can't get out on her own, then why do we have to do anything? We could probably walk out right now and everything will be fine. Hasn't got out and can't get out are two very different things. It'd be dull anyway. It's more interesting if we make a choice.
But you can come and go as you please, can't you? So, let me hitch a ride. After all, you owe me.
Absolutely not. Is she asking if she can possess us? She is. And I hope I don't need to explain why you can't let that happen. It would be catastrophic if she managed to escape this place. And if you let her in, there is very little anyone could do to stop her. Would she be able to see us if we went along with it? Now isn't that an interesting thought? we could finally bring her face to face with him. I wonder what she would have to say to the one who wants her dead so badly. You won't like how things play out if you go down this path.
Take your time. I know it's a lot to think about, but I'm very good at waiting. You don't look dead, killer.
The princess grabs your wrist, a sudden shock of cold flowing all the way up your arm, her eyes still fixed on yours as you try to squirm out of her grip.
And you don't feel dead either.
She lets go and pulls away. Your fingertips tingle painfully as the chill subsides.
I'm less interested in why you are, or how you are, and a lot more interested in what you are. But we've already been over that, so why don't you stop stalling and let me in? It's so cold out here. You poor thing. That must have been so frightening for you.
You know, after everything we've been through, it's nice to see someone finally sympathising with us. This whole thing's been an ordeal, hasn't it? She doesn't mean it.
It serves you right. I was pretty scared too, when you stood there not saying a word with a knife clenched in your fist. But now you know how bad it hurts to get stabbed in the chest. It sounds like you got exactly what you're owed. Well, yeah, you brought a knife with you. Was I supposed to just welcome you with open arms when you obviously had stabbing on the mind? It could have, but it wasn't. You can't blame me for threatening a would-be knife-wielding murderer, especially when that would-be knife-wielding murderer became an actual knife-wielding murderer. Too little, too late, but you can still make things right.
She's not in a position to bargain with us. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
We don't have to do anything, but maybe we should. We did kill her. Wouldn't it be the moral thing to help her now that we have another chance? When a hero slays a monster, does he apologise to it?
No.
So don't try to make things right. She was going to end the world. You didn't do anything wrong, aside from apparently killing yourself, and that doesn't have much to do with her.
How should I know? Why does anyone come back? Maybe I have unfinished business with you. Or maybe you have unfinished business with me. All I know is there's a hole in my chest. Not the big obvious one that you put there. There's something older and deeper. A nagging reminder that I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Are we putting this to a vote? Because personally, I'd prefer if we didn't die again.
If that's what it comes down to, that's what it comes down to. But I don't see the point of offing ourselves just yet.
Oh, that's sweet of you to offer. But killing yourself wouldn't help either of us.
It would seem that everyone here is in agreement except for you. I shouldn't have to tell you that you shouldn't kill yourself. So please, try to keep your suicidal tendencies in check.
Like I said, I just want to go home.
The princess swims through the air in front of you, pausing for a brief moment as her dark-rimmed eyes stare deeply into yours. There's a hunger in her gaze.
You're really trying to make it up to me, aren't you? Thanks for being a pal, killer. I mean it.
What are you doing? Don't just let her in. How many times do I have to tell you?
See you soon.
She rushes forward and then she's gone. A sharp chill spreads across your body. It starts in your chest, a freezing numbness flowing out from your heart all the way down your limbs, your mind growing cloudy and confused as it settles over your very soul. I'm not sure I like this. Can we get a do-over? I'm afraid it's too late to stop now. The numbness gives way to a stabbing pain, your muscles twitching and convulsing violently, each involuntary movement causing more waves of agony to ripple across your body. You collapse to the floor, and everything goes dark.
Come on, you've got to get up. I know everything feels heavy right now, but we still have to get out of here.
Your eyes flick back open as you get your bearings, your vision swimming as...
So this is what it's like to be you, huh? Disembodied voice narrating your every move?
So, it doesn't work like that for you?
Clearly it doesn't, or she wouldn't have commented on it.
All these shards of broken glass on the floor, are they also supposed to be you?
Hey, I'm not a shard of broken glass,
It's okay. You can finish your thought.
I'm a voice? I'm me is what I am.
Who cares what we are? We exist. That's all that matters.
You don't have to fight. We'll all be out of here soon.
No, it matters. What we are matters. If I'm a shard of broken glass, then that raises some questions about certain other voices in here too.
I'm clearly the same thing you are.
They're not listening to me. Do they not listen to you either?
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about him. You don't need to know what I am. You just need to know that I'm different from you. More important.
So, you're the one who pulled the strings and made me dead. I can tell you don't belong here. You're barely even there. Like the shape of something left behind. You're more of a memory than a person.
That's rude.
You're kind of like me, actually.
I'm just going to ignore her. You push yourself off the ground. The princess is nowhere to be seen.
Obvious.
Because I'm in here with all of you. Everybody knows that.
I'm setting the stage. The room is empty because you made a spiteful, idiotic, and all-round foolish decision. Spiteful, idiotic, and all-round foolish decision.
You don't have to let him get to you. You're better than that. You're starting to make things right.
This is infuriating. Just whatever you do, you can't leave this place. It's not too late to fix this. Probably.
It's okay. We're almost out of here. Just take it one step at a time, and everything will be fine.
Everything won't be fine if you listen to her. One way or another, this is all going to end. Wouldn't it be nice if he ends with it?
Wouldn't that be nice? There's only one way to find out.
Your legs, weary with the weight of the princess's spectral form and clumsy with the cold that still pervades them, stumble towards the stairs.
I'm just trying to get home. You don't have to act like it's the end of the world.
But that's exactly what you leaving this place is going to be.
You don't know that.
I do.
Wait, if she has a home to go back to, doesn't that mean that her leaving won't end the world?
It doesn't mean that at all. It could mean that wherever her home is, it's outside of the world.
Yeah, but it has to be somewhere, doesn't it? And if it's somewhere, then it's part of the world.
I suppose it's all a matter of perspective. Where does the world end and something else begin? Does the destruction of one open a door to another? Or is it the same world reborn?
Against the backdrop of the inane conjecture of meaningless little voices, your body continues its ascent up the stairs, staggering through the open door.
For how much you hate her, you aren't doing a whole lot to stop us from leaving this place.
Maybe the bossy one doesn't actually hate me. Maybe he even likes me. Or maybe he just knows that he's been in the wrong. Maybe he's trying to make amends too.
Not at all. I'll have you know that I do hate you, and I will continue to hate you for as long as I am able. It's just the weight of it all. It's too much for me to do anything other than describe and dictate.
And whine.
This body wasn't made to hold you and the princess. If you want to renege on your cataclysmically terrible decision a minute ago, well, you're the only one that could make that happen. You continue slowly to the door, your feet like lead dragging across the floorboards, growing heavier with each step.
We're so close. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If we get out of here, I won't even care that you murdered me anymore.
You lift your shaking hand and rest it on the door handle, but you pause before you open it, exhaustion sapping what's left of your will.
Was exhaustion really the best you could muster up? It's over. There's no use stalling. Let's see what happens next.
Shit. But exhaustion wasn't enough, was it? The handle clicks as you twist it, and then the door groans open. You collapse to the ground, you and the princess, free from the confines of the cabin. As you exhale from the effort, you look up and see.
Yes?
Nothing. He's gone, and so is everything else.
So we did slay him after all. He had it coming, I suppose.
But what about us? Are we just stuck here in nowhere forever? Did taking her out of the cabin really end the world?
We're still here.
Yeah, but that thing you said earlier, are we not part of the world anymore? Are we in some world that exists after the world ends, or on top of the other world but not in it, or have we never been part of the world?
Okay, I've heard enough from these two. Let's see if I can pop out. I'm out. You actually freed me, didn't you? I'm outside. Thanks for giving me a second chance, killer.
Don't mention it.
I think this is where I need to be.
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And there's that mirror again. Why is it here? Why now?
I would have kept them in the dark if I were you.
What is that supposed to mean? Whatever awful thing I felt before, it feels so much worse now.
When I found you in the long quiet alone, I was terrified. What if you had decided to let me wither? But your commitment now is final. Your ability to walk the path of mutual annihilation is vanished with your return. If you still wish to obliterate me, it will have to wait until I am complete. Flickering lights in empty cityscapes become pockets of vitality and movement. I am more than I was before. Whenever you are ready, I will wipe your slate clean once again. Those paths lead to worlds you've already seen, and to perspectives I have already made my own. They are useless to us now, inaccessible. The only paths of value are those that are yet untread. The vessels are shaped by memories of you, but their impulses are drawn to the edge of the long quiet. To them, you are a gate to something more, and any hurt you've caused them is understood as a fair price for freedom. But they are only thoughts and perspectives. They are not me. The wounds they've suffered carve texture around my heart. Without them, I would be as I was before. I would be alone and without sensation. I could not feel the joy of having you by my side, for I would not know your absence. If I am to be an ocean, you have nurtured me into a pond. My waters are shallow and murky, and I yearn for more perspective. You will have your rest in due time, and I am sorry for the burdens I place on you. With every gift you bring me, I excavate the alleys of what I am meant to be, and every exploration yields new and complicated truths. What I will be is different than what I am. What I am is different from what I was. I cannot tell you what desires I will hold when I have changed. But in this moment, all I want is to know myself and to know you. There is still much to be seen. Neither of us know the depths of our being. Perhaps at the end of this, I will be the one to kill you. Or perhaps we will leave this place together and find new horizons to discover. Gifts aren't what someone tells you to bring them. My joy is in seeing what you choose. There are no wrong wrong answers, and every perspective illuminates my shadows and shares new secrets. Why wouldn't I be kind to you? You are the only thing I know that isn't me. Eyes close in reflection. Perspectives meld together, and the breadth of my experience stretches to new corners. There are contradictions, conflicts in my nature, and there are familiarities that bind everything together. It feels correct. This is what I need to be. This is the only path forward. Is a child the same as an infant? I am an unbroken pattern, but every vessel gives fresh perspectives and carves new avenues of expression. I am different, but I am the same. This one is vaporous. She is a dream for a life she could never have, but that longing has given her so much capacity for kindness. She will make for an understanding heart. Do not mourn her. She will finally be able to hold what she never knew. My preference is for you to show me what you would like me to see. I cannot know the ways I wish to grow, for I have yet to feel them. It is you who guides me down the thin trail of perspective and memory. There's nowhere for you to be but here. My roots burrow in an ocean beyond your sight. We cannot harm each other as we are now. I will long for your return, but it will give me time to reflect on what I am. We will meet again.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
That's the spirit.
You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed.
Don't be a stranger. It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Please, come downstairs.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone? I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. Do you think you can get me out of these chains?
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're making a huge mistake. No, you're doing the right thing. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabinet.
Maybe there's some way to break the chains? Or if that doesn't work, I guess we can always cut me out of them.
She offers the suggestion with almost complete nonchalance. If we were stuck down here long enough, I'm sure we'd be nonchalant about cutting our way out if it meant we could finally be free. You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf. As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind you, the clang of bouncing metal. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her. You won't like what happens if you do that. Without hesitation, you bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally. The wound drives her to the ground. Okay, there's no going back now. I'm with you to the end.
You bastard. Were you lying to me this whole time?
The princess pushes away from you, the motion ripping the blade from her back. Wounded, but still alive, she crouches on all fours in the corner of the room and meets your eyes with the ferocity of a cornered predator.
You've made a terrible enemy, and there's nothing in the world that can possibly save you from me.
I thought we had the upper hand, but it's as if she's barely even threatened by us. It's an act. She's wounded and unarmed. There's nothing she can do to hurt you. I'm not so sure. Don't waver now. As you ready your blade to deliver a lethal blow, she lunges at your legs with the same animal ferocity she used to tear at her arm. Your knife cuts into her again and again as you're tackled to the ground, your body racked with pain as she rips into you with tooth and claw. Forget about trying to rescue her. This is about survival now. Give her everything you've got. Though your nerves are seizing with pain, you know you've done your fair share of damage as well, your blade having left deep gashes in the princess's back. You seize a moment of hesitation to throw her off of you and shakily push yourself back to your knees. We can still turn this around. You steel your resolve and take another step closer to the princess.
You probably won't make it out of here alive, but you can still make sure that she won't make it out of here either. Excuse me? What's this about not making it out of here alive? Do you think this is what I wanted to happen? I have a duty to state the facts of the situation, and honestly, it's a miracle anyone in this room is still standing right now. Don't act so surprised. Can you not feel all those gashes and holes pulling you apart? If the princess doesn't do you in here, blood loss is certain to finish the job. You take another step forward, and the princess lunges towards you. The two of you enter one last exchange, a flurry of blade and claw and fleshy ribbons. And then you stop. Neither you nor princess able to go any further. You collapse on the ground, and the princess collapses beside you. Blood pools around you both, and you watch each other fade away.
After all this time alone, I thought I'd finally found a friend, but you were just another monster, weren't you?
Silence as the room starts to get fuzzy around you. You've paid a terrible price, but you've saved us all. It's over.
If you think this is it, you're sorely mistaken. One way or another, I'll make sure you pay for this.
But you don't have time to worry over such things. Everything goes dark, and you die.